And for me personally, I personally tend to be really vocal, and I want to voice those concerns of the engineering community. Secondly, I want to expand the representation of this community. Some of the committees that I've had the privilege of identifying and sitting down with some advisors is firstly the Academic Policy Committee, which is pretty relevant given the fact that the engineering community is expanding right now through programs like bioengineering. And secondly, I want to identify involvement in student affairs, which is pretty relevant with the concerns of students. Some of the concerns is mental health. In the last couple of years, the cases of mental health have grown exponentially. And these are some of the concerns that we engineers need to take a step ahead and look after and represent accurately. And lastly, the third committee that I want to represent the engineering community in is the Financial Aid and Scholarship Committee. It is particularly important that a lot of the North American universities have 100% scholarships, have advanced financial aid packages for their students. McGill happens to be one of those universities that does not have a really comprehensive financial aid package program. And these are just some of the things that I want to talk about. As engineers, we're paying the highest tuition fees on campus. Are we getting the most scholarships as well? Are we getting the most financial aid as well? These are just some of the questions that I want to ask on behalf of the engineering community. And lastly, there's an evident divide between SMU and the EUS. The EUS is an independent organization, SMU is a different organization. With the vision of the SMU rep, I want to work towards bridging this gap by active communication. There needs to be effective dialogue so that we can bridge these gaps.
Just so you know, 2 minutes, exactly.
And with that, I'll end my speech.
Perfect, thank you. So now we're going to enter a 10-minute response period. So does anyone have questions for the senator candidate at the moment?
Since like at least last year, I know that there's like a general like entrance scholarship that's renewable on the condition that you maintain like a certain GPA, and that's standard across all faculties. Now, do you have any idea like how, because like generally I feel like engineering GPAs might on average be a bit lower, so would you have any idea as how to like change that or like sort of scale the GPA requirements for faculty so that everyone has like their access to the scholarship?
Absolutely. That's actually one of the most important parts of my job, is taking your critique to these academic committees. Now, this is something that I probably hadn't thought of before, but that's an absolutely fair recommendation given the fact that engineering is so competitive that these GPAs need to have a different scope, a different grading scale, so that we can have the same amount of funding. At the same time, the thing I want to add upon is that all these faculties have the same amount of amount, which is the maximum $12,000 entrance scholarship. But shouldn't we, as engineers who are paying the higher tuition fee on campus, have scholarships that are at a higher amount as well? Now, these are just some of the questions that we as students need to ask, and as a senator, I would be happy to take those concerns on those academic committees and ask those questions from the right people. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Other departments have been pushing to have a fall reading week. Do you think this can be an issue that you could raise up and make it happen?
Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, the second committee I talked about, the Enrollment and Student Affairs Committee, is one of those committees which talks about academic scheduling. And that committee is the one in which people are involved with scheduling. The last two representatives on their committee were the Arts Senator and I think the Science Senator. I want to be one of those people who want to take their position on that committee. As engineers, we definitely have much more competitive schedules than most people on the campus. And the relevance of the fall reading week is much more relevant to us. And I want to be one of those people who want to campaign for the rights. If I'm not wrong, the Dean of Student Affairs talked about it last semester, where he mentioned how just give me an idea and I'll put the fall reading week wherever you want it. I don't think that's the right kind of behavior. And as students, we need to be questioning that kind of arguments. Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Yes.
You ended your opening speech on talking about increasing the dialogue with the student. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely. The SNU in the past, as a matter of fact, one of the concerns with the engineering community is that we haven't been effectively communicating with SNU. One of the things that has improved with SNU in the past is the fact that they've publicized their minutes. The fact they've made these meeting minutes public is being a step forward into streamlining and making this dialogue more clear. As a person, as someone who has experience in the McGill delegation team, like Spencer does, as the McGill Model United Nations team, I like to take dialogue as it is. I want to raise these questions at the relevant committees, and that's why I want to run for a position in the SMOOC Council, so that us engineers have that one of two Senate positions, and so that we can voice our concern in those committees and we can clarify our concerns to them. And that's what one of the steps is, to clarify and expanding on that dialogue is.
So now we have a question from online submission. How will you approach the senator role to make it most applicable to the EUS?
First and foremost, I think one of my goals from this, from my candidacy is the fact that on other sides of campus, the role of senator has 5 to 6 candidates per faculty. The arts faculty itself has 5 to 6 candidates, and the engineering faculty only has 1 candidate. Now that sucks for you guys because you guys have to pick from only me and me. But what should change is what my aspiration from this profession is, from this role is, that more people need to know about this role. That more people need to get involved with this position, so that tomorrow, by the end of this year's senator position, there are more and more people interested in this position. And that is what my aspiration from this role is, to make it more applicable to the engineering community.
Any further questions in the room? Okay, we have another one from online. They ask, how will you bridge the gap between the EUS and SMU relations in your role as senator? And what would you like the relationship to be between the EUS and SMU?
Thank you so much. Well, firstly, the SMU Council, which happens every other week, has 2 senator positions. I want to be one of those senator positions who run for that position, so that we can have an engineer candidate on that council, and so that we can voice our concerns on that bi-weekly meeting. That's the first way to clarify that dialogue. Secondly, the way I want to build upon this relationship has something to do more with me as a person. With me as a person, I like to be super vocal about whatever my concerns are. I like to talk about my concerns with the situation, and that's just to clarify how the situation is. And I believe in effective dialogue. One of my past experiences in this fact, just last week I had the privilege of representing McGill at the United Nations Commission for Social Development, where we sat down with real-time ambassadors and developed policy for trade regulations for eradication of Ebola in Sierra Leone. And these are just some of my experiences that I want to take in building this relationship with SMU and the EUS, because us engineers need to have a voice on campus.
Thank you. Any further questions for the senator candidate? All right, seeing none, we'll have 1 minute for your closing remark. I'm going to bang the gavel at the last 15 seconds.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, guys. I feel like I've just used like 8 minutes of a lot of talking. I apologize for that. But thank you so much for coming out tonight, and I'm pretty excited to hear all the other candidates as well. So happy life to you.
All right, up next we have the SMU rep candidates, candidate singular, Kelly Ma. Thank you, Kelly. So I'm going to bang the gavel at 30 seconds for your intro, which you have 2 minutes for, okay?
I will sit down.
And whenever you're ready.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Kelly, and I'm a U1 bioengineering student at McGill. I've had a really great first year as an engineering student, and I participated in a lot of clubs that I enjoyed, such as PAL, BUS, the Bioengineering Undergraduate Student Society, as well as the Ledger and EAC. I want to be your engineering rep to SMU because current relationships with SMU are fragile, and building, I think it's a really good opportunity for SMU to reinvent itself and engineering to play a big role in this. I'm interested in joining SMU by participating in committees so I can actively reflect on the decisions made in SMU. The committees I've chosen as my priority include funding, so I can acquire the knowledge we need to access greater funds within engineering, as well as service review, so I can really contribute to the decision making and how services affect EUS students, as well as affect francophones. J'ai amélioré mon français après avoir déménagé au Québec. Et si vous voulez une traduction, je vais essayer de répondre en français. If elected, I will actively participate in SMU committees as part of my role, and I hope to collaborate with the First People's House as well in order to really bring inclusivity into engineering. For those of you who don't know, this is 3505 Peel, and we seek to advance the movements of First Nations and Indigenous students. I also want to improve inclusive event planning, and I think the great variety of SMU clubs is a good starting place to do this. And I hope that next year SMU clubs will collaborate with EUS, especially with space closure, to offer greater activities within engineering. So thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, so we have 5 minutes for question and responses. So does anyone have questions for this new representative candidate?
can you use the SMU to help smaller younger departments like bioengineering?
So, with SMU is a great well of knowledge, and I really appreciate this question because I have been on bus and I've seen how much progress we've made. I think interactions with SMU will help us because speaking with other SMU reps, such as science, can help us get a sense of how different clubs, the McGill Integrative Biological Science Society, came to be. Communicating with MIBS members as well as other clubs that are being founded under SMU will help us gain an idea of how the constitution is developed, the role that executives play in the development of a club, and how general members at large contribute to the function of the club, and bring this knowledge back to EUS, as well as looking for opportunities to increase funding for new clubs could really benefit bioengineering.
Any further questions for our candidate? Yes.
What do you think are some of the biggest concerns with the EUS simulation?
I think that right now we don't see the SMU as a relevant entity within EUS because we don't acknowledge the resources that we could benefit from SMU. One of them that we don't access nearly enough is the Peer Support Center. This is something I really want to advocate for because within engineering, we often lack resources towards like mental health, directing us to other McGill resources, including OSD, Healthy McGill, etc. If we could adopt a committee similar to the Peer Support Center or like a service, we could really benefit from the knowledge that SMU has, and this could increase the number of students that actively seek support from their peers in times of need.
All right, we have a question from online asking, how will you build on the work done by the current SMU reps to improve SMU-EUS relations?
Right now, I think that the discussions between the current SMU reps within their committees is what really contributed to SMU being a greater topic of interest within EUS. I know that the current SMU reps do sit on a number of committees, funding being one of the most important ones. Regular discussions about new funds available has been applied to a lot of the executives currently at EUS. Therefore, I will continue to represent EUS by sitting on at least 2 committees, probably 3. And I will also encourage like the rest of engineering to ask me for advice in regards to funding, service review, as well as external events, including francophone. Furthermore, I will be making regular Facebook posts within the EUS group to alert our executives, including departmental clubs and design teams, etc., when new opportunities come up within SMU.
We have another online question, unless anyone else in the room has a question for our candidate. All right. What is one takeaway you hope to accomplish in your position as SMU rep?
My biggest accomplishment that I really want to get done is definitely bridging the Peer Support Center with EUS. Right now, we lack a centralized system where peers can go to other peers to seek to get resources and other amenities that SMU currently offers. One of these is like one-on-one active listening and proper like bystander training. Therefore, I think that if I could bring aspects of Peer Support Center to EUS and make it engineering specific to deal with things like our class, our course load, etc., I think this would definitely benefit the mental health of students within EUS.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none, you have 1 minute for your closing remarks, and I'll bring the gavel with 15 seconds.
All right. So thank you so much for listening to my talking. If I am elected as a SMU representative, I definitely want to keep working towards the same goals that the current SMU representatives have. However, in addition, I believe that active involvement within SMU communities, as well as really carrying on the conversation between us and SMU, will help EUS have a bigger impact on SMU decisions in the future. Therefore, I definitely want to be elected as a SMU representative, and feel free to ask me any questions.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We're just waiting for one of those.
Is that okay? All right. Now we're going to have our VP Student Life candidate, Marion Olivier. So please welcome her.
You are welcome.
Okay. Again, 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Sorry if I'm not super rehearsed because I didn't know I was going now. That's okay. My name is Marion. I'm in U1 in materials. It's my second year here, and since I've gotten to the I've been really involved involved in JC last year. This year I'm involved in a bunch more things. I am on the SMU Library Improvement Fund Committee. I am on the Congress team for 2019. And I'm planning a conference called PDM, which is called Engineering Diversity in Media, which is super exciting. It's happening next month. The reason I'm running for student life is because what I really care about, or at least the two things that I care about the most, are involvement and mental health, and both those things sort of fall under the student life portfolio. Sorry. So in terms of mental health, the mental health committee exists under the student life portfolio, and some plans that I have for it are making mental health advocacy a focus instead of talking so much about wellness and self-care, which is really important, that I'd like to bring more spotlight to resources and how to access them, as well as focusing on expanding the equity and mental health coordinator position, because I think those are super important. In terms of involvement, I have plans for clubs and design teams. I'd like to improve communication so they're more accessible and so they can gain more resources that the EUS has to offer. I also want to keep working with the Data Analytics Committee, which is something that this business the academic created, which is a super cool initiative, and other things that are under this portfolio are also SEAM, which is sort of the sustainability organization in the US, if you didn't know. So I want to increase visibility for them, for younger students, and yeah, that's about it.
All right. Do we have any questions for the candidate?
Yes.
So you mentioned that increasing visibility for SEAM, which is super great because it's going to be like, a lot of people don't really know what to do. But in addition to that, would you have any ideas as how to like actually make us able to more like implement things? Because like at least this year being on that committee, it seems like we have a lot of plans, but there's both a lack of funding or just generally a lack of like understanding as to like who to go to. So how would you plan to like facilitate things actually going to fruition?
Thank you for your question. I think I could do this in two parts. The first is by improving the communication between SEAM and myself, as well as other clubs or design teams that would like to get involved in them. Obviously, for starting any new initiatives, communication is key, and you can't. It's often very difficult to start a new initiative. Because you'll start it and maybe someone's in a position, and then there will be turnover, so it's difficult to continue that. The second part of that is that I mean, you're on SEAM, so you obviously know, but SEAM does quite a bit of collaborations with other people, like other clubs, like Novi, for example. And I think collaborating with those groups to implement more initiatives is really important because not everyone has the same resources or the same audience base. So encouraging more collaboration as well as communication is what I would think.
We have a question from an online submission. What do you know about the funds under your portfolio, and what experience do you have with balancing the financial needs of many groups?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I actually earlier was at the design team funding committee, so I got to witness firsthand how they are distributing funds this year and some of the changes they've made, like implementing a secret ballot so that things are more fair. And it was really interesting to see that because I know a lot about these funds and I've worked a lot with the SMU rep this year to learn more about SMU funding, but I haven't actually attended many. I have a lot of theoretical knowledge about it, but it was nice to get to apply it and see in real life. So the second part of that question was about managing clubs.
What experience do you have with balancing the financial needs of many groups?
Thank you. Sorry. I do actually have direct experience with this. When I was in high school, I was the president of our student council, which also acted as the VP finance. So we had something like 23 clubs in our school that all had to get their budgets approved by me. And obviously, it was much smaller scale. We only had a total of 200 grand to distribute, but it was a good stepping stone to the kind of funding that the design team and clubs funding committees involve.
Yes, Florence.
Right. So how are you going to outreach to more students other than the educational feedback?
Yes, thank you for that question. I think that Involvement Day is a great opportunity, but some of its downsides are that it's so often stated as the sort of the one place to get involved, and then if you miss it for there's a variety of reasons you can miss it. Like a lot of people, especially U0s, have big class blocks that fall in Involvement Day, so they can't go to either of the days. Or sometimes it's just not accessible physically or for other reasons. I think that one important thing would be mandating that all of the information made available at Involvement Days is also available online. I mean, obviously nothing beats the face-to-face interaction of having someone from that club tell you what it's like, but a lot of the times there will be like sign-up sheets that a clever design team has, and they don't have like an online Google form equivalent. So if you don't go to involvement day, you absolutely can't join that, which is really unfortunate. So I'd like to make sure everything's online, and I'd also like to continue what the current VP Student Life is doing with digitizing the involvement package and potentially making it available on the wiki, which I think that would also allow more students to be able to find that information throughout the year.
We have a question from online. What do you know about the history of space challenges facing design teams, and how would you handle a design team approaching you asking for more space?
Thank you for the question. I was talking to the current design team rep about this a few days ago, and I know that recently there was a new design team space opened up and that there are 3 design teams currently existing but unfortunately there's kind of no more space for design teams in McConnell or other EUS spaces, which is unfortunate in terms of EUS, but I think that as Student Life, I would be able to encourage collaboration with departments to start more departmental design teams. BUS is starting one, MUS is trying to start one, and I think that it's unfortunate that there's currently no space for more EUS design teams, but I think that it's a nice avenue to open up to have more departmental design teams that are more specialized in areas that people want on their resumes and things like that.
Thank you. Any further questions from the audience? All right, we have one from online. Oh, Amara? Yes.
So yeah, communication between clubs and design teams is definitely a problem that like is kind of recurring. And you mentioned that's something that was improved, so can you go into more detail on what concrete steps you take to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the question. One of the things that I'd like to implement that I hope works out, we'll see how it goes, is I like to have monthly meetings with myself and like one representative from the club. Doesn't have to be the president, but someone who sort of knows what's going on. It wouldn't be a long meeting. It would just be sort of a, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how other people can get involved with us. And I think that would help communication not only between my EUS and the clubs, but also between the clubs themselves, and it would encourage more collaboration. I know that it might be difficult to get people out to those, but I think that it will be incentivized because there are a lot of things that EUS can offer them, like different funding channels, different communication channels. I was also talking to Nobi the other day, and they brought up the great idea of having a club social, which I think might help make the clubs more. Obviously, the clubs function very independently, but I think it would be nice to have some sort of cohesion between them and have people know, like, hey, this is who runs this club, this is who runs that club, and have more personal relationships between the clubs.
All right, we have one more online question submission, and that's the last question we have time for. Are you aware that End Games is not currently listed as a design team, but has been using design team spaces? Although listed under the VP External Portfolio, how will you ensure that a good collaboration is achieved for End Games to be allowed to work in McGill spaces?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I actually did not know they were using design team spaces. That's good to know, but I think that's something that could be accomplished with collaboration with both the VP External and the design team rep. Obviously, the design team rep knows a lot about the spaces and how they're allocated, and we could definitely arrange for End Games to have space on a collaborative basis with the design teams. So I think that it would just be a lot of collaboration between those 2 parties and myself.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We have a 1-minute closing remark.
All right. So thank you everyone for listening to my answers to all your great questions. I really appreciate you coming out and asking them. I'm really excited about all the gazillion initiatives that I've listed out in my very long platform, but I'm really excited to hopefully get to work on them, and I really hope that you guys vote for me. So thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to be going into our first contestant position for VP Internal. This particular debate is going to have some accommodations in which we allow them 30 seconds to process the question because one of our candidates has a concussion currently, as well as allowing that candidate, Catherine Callahan, an extra 15 seconds to respond to the question. So that being said, I welcome the candidates. Kat's in the other room, so I'm going to go grab her.
No, she's on her way.
Oh, hello. Okay, so welcome them.
Well, what's the order? Internal.
Internal, external.
Academic services president.
Academic services president.
It's wax. Fear. I will.
It's not sticky. Where's the ticket to draw?
Yeah, it's just like a dry
I think it's okay. But
villagers back.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to start with a 2-minute intro statements for both of you. I'm going to bang the gavel in the 15 seconds remaining in the intro statement. Laurent, we'll begin with you.
Okay, hi friends. If you don't know me, my name is Laurent. I'm a fourth year software engineering student. Before I tag into my platform, I'm going to talk a little bit about my relevant experience. So just this past year, I was the Frosh coordinator, where I led the inter-faculty committee, and that's the group in charge of planning Beach Day, the all-faculty concert, which are two of the biggest events at Frosh. I was also chief of Work W, which was the first EUS event to offer official non-drinking tickets. It's sold out for like a millionth time. I was also a Frosh coordinator, EUS coordinator just this past January, where I was head of captains, and I've already actually been VP internal of the Quidditch Club, which is one of the biggest clubs on campus, where I shared a lot of the same responsibilities as the current VP internal of the US does, all by on a smaller scale. So what I want to do with the VP internal position are three main things. One, I really want to expand the community and do that through promoting our social opportunities and expanding our outreach to the greater EUS. So I can do that by EUS sports, growing that with the sports commissioners, really pushing it in the beginning of the year during Frosh for a couple weeks during the the good weather, the good vibes time. Blues Pub is another area that could really use a good strong start to the semester to grow really that customer base, make sure that they improve week after week throughout the year. Another thing I want to do is grow the smaller committees. EUS Sports is one of those, but also I want to focus a little bit on EAC. If you don't know, that's the Engineering Adventure Committee. And those guys have fallen a little bit by the wayside in the past few semesters, but thanks to the efforts of Amara and the dedicated committee this year, they've really grown and they're really starting to get a lot more events. I really want to build on that momentum next year and get them to a point where they can put on high caliber events and adventures for engineers. Thirdly, for the big events, Frosh and eWeek, I want to continue to build on the great momentum Frosh has by giving good feedback year after year. And for eWeek, I really want to promote it to a wider population and really diversify those events and make sure it's safe, inclusive, but still super. It's going to end on fun. No, super fun. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine Tanya, and I want to be your next EUS Weekly panel. You may have seen me around campus the past couple weeks in sunglasses and a hat. I've actually been cast in an all-female remake of Top Gun, and I'm giving this an opportunity to get into character. Concussion jokes aside, I've been involved in the EUS since U0 in various roles, which include sports commissioner, Frosh coordinator, Merc Buddy coordinator, eWeek coordinator, and I'm currently a member of the EUS Board of Governors. These positions, along with the other roles I've taken on, have provided me with a well-rounded and holistic view of the EP events portfolio and the EUS as a whole. I have two main goals for my time as VP internal. I want to run high-quality events that are exciting to attend and inclusive for all those who want to attend them, and I want to support and expand smaller communities so that they run to their best of their capabilities. Both of these goals will help every item under my portfolio, and while there's not enough time to explain my current platform, I'll highlight some of my ideas here. I want to introduce a new position with Frosh, the contingency coordinator. This position would be in charge of creating alternative plans in case any of our usually scheduled programming can't run, such as rain during Christmas. I would like to add a gluten-free cider to the Brew Club menu, as well as establishing a means of connecting groups with low volunteer turnout to eager potential Brew Club volunteers. I want to rekindle the discussion for lights on the Iron Ring, making greenbogging possible at night and more accessible for students who have busy class schedules during the day. And so much more if you check out my campaign as well online. Being involved in the ES this past year here, so it's made me care deeply not only about the student society, but the students themselves. And I want to be the next EUS VP internal to give back to the society that has given me so much these past 3 years. Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to jump into the question period, in which we'll alternate between candidates. Just a reminder to everyone that we're going to allow them 30 seconds to process the question, as well as providing Kat an extra 15 seconds at the end due to a concussion. So that being said,
One thing. In that 30-second thinking period, Please do not talk. This is not a period for you to socialize. It's a period for silence for the candidates to focus. So please don't start whispering just because we stopped talking. Thank you.
All right. Now I open the floor to questions. Kareem Halabi.
So I know a lot of people who there tends to be a lot of leftovers about the piles of food. Do you have any idea of that better standardized how to properly handle these types of things?
Kathleen, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, Kareem. Thank you so much for your question. I think a really important part of this is being really preemptive and conscious of how we buy online. For example, during TV, we obviously have to order shirts before our final numbers are in, and we order shirts based on projected value. So it's really important to look at trends from past couple years, how they're growing and how they're changing, to adequately guess the amount of shirts that we would need. After the event has taken place, it's a bit harder, and you can try and donate them to a shelter or something. But a lot of times they don't really want event shirts, like they're not really high quality clothing. So I think the main thing there would be to be preemptive and try not to buy too much. That would also save us a lot of money, as much is not a huge price, but it's a price enough money down the drain if we don't sell those shirts.
Yeah, great question, especially since you've been in the space as VP Services, you're a little bit backed up, and I'm sure you're a little annoyed at the office having boxes of shirts everywhere. I do agree with Kat on sounding off against, looking at the numbers beforehand, looking at those trends before and making sure that we do order a more accurate amount of shirts. That being said, extra is never bad, especially in events, because sometimes, poop hits the fan, and you might need 100 extra shirts out of nowhere. One big thing you can do is make sure you look into other avenues of recycling them. So a big thing there is that is just a lot of cost material. Design teams can use those if you can find a way to go to whatever organization, either cut those up or reuse them for our events in further through the year. So what I'm saying is like a bunch of extra frost shirts could be cut up and used or rehabilitated into some e-week events where there's a lot more hands-on designing stuff.
Yes, Austin, let's read it for the next question.
Do you guys have any views on the position of youth club managers? And do you have any new ideas for a role for yourself and a volunteer that's consistently volunteering every week, motivated and wanting to do well?
All right, now we can begin whenever you're ready.
All right, so blue club managers, it is a volunteer-based position, and they do have to sometimes give a lot more than they get, which is to say that during those really busy blues clubs, when everybody's getting a little too tipsy, needing them to leave, it's very difficult for them to kind of enforce their will, despite the fact that fancy manager shirts do have a lot of power around here. It's not like you're not really sure. For those who couldn't see a shirt. And it's really important through the hiring process, make sure you do get those strong candidates, kind of filter out the ones you think might, kind of edge away throughout the year or not be as committed. It's important to keep checking in with them throughout the week, throughout the year, throughout every blues club, making sure they have what they need in order to do a good job. In terms of new ideas of what they can do, there's a little less on the perk side, they are get beers afterwards. They're cool. They have the fun shirts, and also they have access to the common room, which is great. I think really as VPN Journal, it's encouragement and checking in constantly.
Same question.
Yeah. So I think one option to look into, especially with the new food manager and who's just hired, would be to see how the team is working. Maybe we need to look into hiring more food managers, but sometimes it's difficult as volunteers aren't always willing to, or people aren't always willing to volunteer for that position. But if we have the personnel, it would be really worthwhile to look into, because being a food manager is pretty big for a job. You're there every week. You're not really supposed to drink when you're on shift. I know, people get drunk and they're organizing and they think they know more than you. And sometimes you'll lay down the law with them, but it's hard because they're your friends and it's hard to tell them what to do. So, to prevent burnout, I think we should really look into more food club managers if it's available. Also, as Laura said, you always want to support your team. You want to check in with them. Maybe give them a break, have extra duty if we have the time for that, and just make sure that everyone's feeling good.
That's a 15 second.
Right. All right, we have a question from the online submission, so I'll get to all of you. With the addition of the bioengineering department, there are fewer dates for clubs, design teams, etc. to host blues parties. With this in mind, do you think that it is fair that the PPO is able to host blues clubs twice a year, while other EUS groups are not able to host at all?
That's a really wonderful question, and I think that is really important to look into. We've had really good fundraisers for a lot of people that host it. On a good night, we make about $1,000 from the beach club, and I think it's substantial funds for a design team who is struggling to get competition. In terms of value in the PPO, I think that there's always room for change within the EUS, and that PPO is a charity group, and all of the details for the charity, but at the same time, because it's a fundraiser, so we want to be able to support our engineering group. We are currently on the BOG, I think for an MOU, and then we're going to agreement with external groups outside of the US, and PPO will help us on that in the future. And I think it'd be interesting to look at East Club as a part of that MOU and see how that can.
All right. So that is a really excellent question, and I think the big thing to look at for blues pubs is maybe look at rearranging the schedule. So that what I mean by that is that the blues pubs near the beginning of the semester, or those at the end, say the one that's going to happen right before reading week happens, those tend to draw in a lot more people and a lot more revenue. So when you look at the money, the PPO getting 2 blues pubs, are they getting the same amount of money as they would get in one larger blues pub? So if we slim them down to say just one rowdy day blues pub, and where they have a lot of attendance, they get a lot of revenue, you can slot in a smaller group that maybe doesn't have, doesn't need as much money for then a design team or department, and you can split the profits a little more evenly. Because while they do have 2, if they aren't getting, if they're getting as much money as one, you can put them in one. You can get that other department one of their slots, and I think rearranging the schedule definitely is a big way to even it out amongst the departments and the PPO, because they do add a lot to our society. Last word is
Yes, Cross.
So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on associate members of the party?
Cross your sanctions. Never mind.
Is that the end of your question?
Was that clear to both candidates?
Yes.
too much asset to swap positions because
Guys, you can stay quiet as well, but if you remember.
She's closer to the microphone. Just for the live viewers.
All right, Ron, you may begin.
Yes. All right, cool. So Flora, it's a really interesting question, and that's definitely relevant in this past year and the past Josh. Hi, Jasmine. How you doing? So I think the two main things to look at here are context and ability. So the context of associate member here, why are they becoming an associate member? So for example, I'll use Jasmine as my example here. She was selected as Frosh coordinator and had to be made an associate member because she was technically a graduate student. She had been involved heavily in the EUS in the past, and I think that's important to look at when she was made an associate member, but in the future, why are they being made an associate member? What do they have previously that helps them, whatever this position is, should they be made an associate member? Secondly, for ability, are they being made an associate member to get around a loophole, or are they being made an associate member because they really deserve the position, they have the ability, the experience, the strengths that other candidates simply do not have? If it's taking a position away from an engineering student, I would navigate them to some of the smaller committees, build up a little bit more experience so they are a better candidate in the future.
And Catherine, we have a request to speak up a little louder if you're able to. Thank you.
Okay, so the as for associate members being on subcommittees or committees, we actually see that throughout the EUS. Maybe speaking specifically about Josh, however, Peace Club has associate members who are managers, sports commissioners have been associate managers, and I think they really add a lot to the society as a whole. I think it's really important when picking associate managers that they are like the best for the position. You want to take the best people who are going to help you create the most high quality events. That's what we really do, and we are planning events to bring you all together. And if the most qualified person happens to be the associate member, I think that is really valid to take that. If you guys have ever been to OAP cleanup when they're people to volunteer, they always say that you don't have to be an engineer being an OAP manager. They want the best people for the job. And I think that's what we should strive for in the EUS. While supporting our members, we really want to have the best people running them.
All right, further questions from the Benjamin Bureau.
Yeah, so we always talked about Josh and so I'd like to hear what complications you plan on bringing forward if you have to
Specifically the Frosh?
or are you looking at the Frosh?
And Catherine, you before.
So one of the, benefits of my concussion, benefits and downsides, is that I've become very sensitive to sensory information, such as fluorescent lighting and sound. Frosh is a very overwhelming event, and it's very hard to know what you're getting into with Frosh. And as much as we do our best to describe these events, like sensory information, knowing that kind of stuff and knowing exactly when things will start and stop can greatly enhance someone's Frosh experience. So simply, on a pub crawl saying, or on the Montreal crawl saying, there may be loud music, or at for a night event saying there will be flashing lights, just helps someone to know what they're getting themselves into, and that's a very inclusive and a pretty minor way to make it more inclusive to go to these events. I have more ideas, and please speak with me after the debate if you'd like to hear more, but that's all I can fit into right now.
So in terms of frosh specifically inclusivity, so in recent years, the last couple of years, we've made all events, all ages. So which is great. Like everybody can get everything. Having a black bracelet isn't that much of a detriment. I think the big thing around frosh is running events like Park Party, which was incepted I think like two years ago. Yeah. By the great Canon Luncheon Walk from the external. And that type of event is so successful and so well loved because it is a concurrent event. And the fact, and that what that means is that there's a lot of stuff going on. It's all compact. There's still someone who, isn't into running into other people with bubble soccer or who wants to, paint their face and stuff. They're still at the event. They're still with their group. And I think having more of these types of events where, the one thing that's happening doesn't have to be the only thing that's happening. Also, you really want to, again, like Kat said and touched on, prepare them in advance, whether it's showing them video, really pushing their leaders to say, hey, it's going to be loud, or if you want to step out, I'm definitely here for you. Making the leaders actually believe what they're saying.
All right. We have a question from Tristan Anandan.
All right. As you both know, this year we had an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with McGill. This means that EUS events are under the McGill contract, and that McGill participants can use McGill resources and are under the McGill law when it comes to very serious things like sexual and physical assault. Unfortunately, this is only valid for McGill participants, which means that if the incident involves someone outside of McGill, the MOU doesn't apply. Where do you see EU going with or without an MOU, or with or without McGill investment? I'll do this. I'll take it.
You want to give a quote?
Okay, cool. So, really good point about the MOU. So, I believe the one we signed for EUS is pretty much the same one that we signed for Frosh. And like we said, it kind of covers everything into the McGill context, excluding freeze, which is a big downfall of it. But what a lot of people might not understand about the MOU is the fact that it is kind of like a proxy, a probationary thing before McGill actually implements those consequences and those policies into the permanent student code of conduct. They haven't done that yet, but they're going to. So what the MOU does, it just puts stuff under McGill context. So when someone is outside of the McGill, or the non-McGill participant, the consequences that the MOU brings up can't really apply to them because they are consequences within the McGill context. And that's really crappy. But while the MOU does get applied to that permanent student code of conduct, and they do sign these waivers saying we will abide by this student code of conduct, regardless of where they're from, those consequences and those policies will be applied to them permanently. So now all we can do is just support what it is and do the best that we can as coordinators. There's Margaret.
Yeah, so it's a really great question, Kristen. As Aaron said, the MOU puts unique and health events into the legal context, which means that if someone would like to bring disciplinary charges against someone at McGill, then they can do that. However, there are other resources available within the EUS and the Montreal community at large. If someone violates our norms at EU, we can cut their bracelet. Even if they're not a McGill EUS student, we can blacklist them from our events, our future events. We also receive as coordinators observers training. So we receive content warning. We receive training, disclosure training for sexual assault or physical assault. That allows us to support people and bring them to resources like the Montreal Police or a survivor service or something like that. So there's a lot more that can happen than just the MOU. The MOU provides a good safety net, but you can take a lot of action within the EUS sector.
Okay. Another question from Florence. We only have time for two more, so it'll be Florence and then Amara, and that'll conclude.
So getting people to sign up for voice is you see that. So how are you going to get more people to the class?
Thank you for that question. One thing I noticed this year as part of the events, which is the portfolio that you would think requires a lot of staff, is that you actually need a lot less staff than you think. We had a lot of staff that would come and they just needed for about 10 minutes to set up and then they'd just sit around. So I think it's more important not to recruit more staff, but to be more deliberate about our staffing. I know one mistake I made was when we were cooking breakfast, I did not ask for enough staff. So that reflects that we didn't have enough staff, but in reality that was, slow learning. But I learned from that. So it's not necessarily about attracting more staff, it's about making sure that we use the staff that we have efficiently and effectively.
All right, so there's a couple points. An excellent question, and definitely relevant for this past week. So the first thing you can do is keep it economical. So make sure that the price point of staffing doesn't ever go up. The sides be like traditional 50%, even go down if you can, to make it a little more enticing. Also be proactive in going to get the staff, right? Instead of saying sign up for staff, start off on the right foot at the beginning of the year. People really want to staff Frosh because there's a lot of perks, like you get to do Frosh, and you don't have to put in that much work. Tell them about staffing opportunities throughout the year. And tell them, hey, Bert W is super fun to staff, you is super fun to staff. And really get them from that like nice pitcher position and let them know that they'll be treated with respect. A lot of staff come off feeling like just like, yeah, the coordinator is just like do this and then speak to me for the entire hour. From a coordinator perspective, really feeling like, hey, they are part of our team. They are kind of a temporary coordinator helping us out. And in the case that we don't have enough staff, really using the captains and the leaders who are in those events and who are really proactive and really willing to help out if you ask.
And we have time for one final question from Amar Slaymaker.
So another kind of internal portfolio is like managing international relations, like you said in Frosh, but also throughout the year and kind of through the scheduling live events and then making sure that data overlap. I in the past couple of years enjoyed having integrated life responsibilities. So this year I worked on improving international relations and I don't know what your past experience is with this and what you would do to continue improving continuing and resisting international relations.
So in terms of inter-faculty relations, I think the big event, the big thing to look at here is Frosh. That is where we work with them the most. That is the start of the year. That is when they get to see the people who will be very relevant, if you want to use that term, throughout the year. And that's where you're exposed to all the other relevant members of the other societies. So my experience as the inter-faculty coordinator in past Frosh, that's pretty much all I did. I talked with other faculties, I negotiated with other faculty, except for arts. Really made sure that we maintain those relationships. Because Beach Day and the All Faculty Concert were just that. All faculty, everybody, all hands on deck. And I think that experience really sets me up, especially since it's so recent, for maintaining those good relationships that I have into the next Frosh, into the next year. Also, I think it's big to give and take. So when events overlap, maybe cut yours a day early to allow another one another day early, and realize that faculty relations extend beyond your own term. So always think of the posterity in the future. What are my actions now if I give a little now, they'll be able to take some later.
Nothing, same question?
Yeah. So I think as engineering, we tend to be very insular and very much, we're the best on campus, always the best way. And, it's true most of the time, but like we also got to give some give and take, and we definitely have to learn from other faculties. And so the big one is Frosh. You, as you can tell, you sit on the committee with all the other internals to iron out details that affect the entire Frosh committee. And it's really important to listen to everyone at the table and make sure that everyone feels like they're listened to, the big faculties and especially the smaller faculties. I've found that in the past, and doesn't have the best relationship with necessarily the big faculties, but we've been the champion of the small faculties, We're able to push back against just arts and science and management and think, we're the big three, we're the most important people at Frosh. So I think big faculties are important, but you gotta look out for the little guy too, and you just gotta get everyone to have a seat at the table, and I found that is what Ed's done in the past, so it seems like we have bad relations, but it's really just 2 or 3 faculties out of 9 or 10. So.
Thank you so much. We're now going to enter in 1 minute of closing remarks. Catherine will begin with you. Ready?
Okay. I'm really good. So, like I said in my speech, I've been involved with the EUS for about 3.5 years now, and I've really enjoyed everything I've been involved with. And I want to be here VP channel because I care a lot. I care about the events that we run, and I care about the students that we cater to. And I want to use all the relevant experience that I've accumulated to give you guys and girls and people, like God, phrase, the best year you can have through engineering programming, and I just care a lot, and I want to do the best for you
guys. So thank you guys very much for the questions. They were really insightful. They gave me a lot of ideas on what to look for going forward. One thing I do want to touch on, the VP internal position, one thing I really noticed is that it is more than just event planning, a lot of leadership. And I think over the past year and in Quidditch over the past 3 years, I've really gained a lot of leadership experience. And after every single leadership opportunity, I've been able to ask for feedback. What did you like? What did you hate? What can I improve on? And every single time I have a leadership opportunity, I've gotten better, I've gotten stronger, and I've been a better leader in a more positive way. And now I think I'm the strongest that I've ever been. The EUS has given me so much of that experience, and it's given me so much that, honestly, not to sound like a broken record, but give back to the EUS and really improve what I can, and really make a lasting impact that will touch more people, that will invite even more people into the EUS community. And honestly, I'm very prepared at this point in my life, and I'm really excited going forward. If you have any other questions for me, I'll be around after. But thank you guys so much for being quiet, for listening, for accommodating. Go Markets.
Thank you. We're now going to be moving into the uncontested debate for Alex Hale, VP Communications candidate. So we're going to do a 2-minute opening, 5-minute responses, so if they're not
That's fine.
Okay. If you can all settle down, please. We'll do 2-minute opening statement. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex. I'm running for the position of communications in the U.S. for next year. I've had the
pleasure of working for the U.S. in a number of capacities over the last couple of years, especially the last 1 year. And I think that I have the skills that I can bring to the position and improve it. So, just some experience. The two main things are last year I was the head of communications for Frosh. That position gives you a lot of the skills of communications that the public then will see. So, your Facebook pages, your videos, your country content, some merch stuff, things like that. And then I'd say more importantly, the last year I've also spent as the US IT director, which gives you the skills that people don't see. So the IT director is one of the most important positions in the VPCon portfolio. I'm in charge of the US servers, and then the IT committee, which I'm the chair of, is in charge of our website, 10, which are the screens that are in front of you, and finally the wiki, which we've worked especially for a while. As for why I like to do VPCon, I love working in the US. It's given a lot to me, and as I just said, I'd like to give back to it. And secondly, I think I'm the most qualified candidate for the position available. I've worked very closely with Saad in the past year, and I think evidence of that is that I'm willing. So just a couple things about plans. I have three main categories here. First up is reliability. So as you probably noticed, our website go down a lot. Our servers go down sort of a lot, not as much, but sometimes. And I'd like to improve that uptime. We're starting on our first semester, and I'd like to continue moving into next year. Then unrelated to IT, I also look to improve reliability in my publications. So the Ledger and the Faucet, they publish every semester, but it's not a regular schedule. So it'll be like, oh, surprise, there's a publication available. And I'd like to make that more consistent so people can appreciate it. Another time I will get to the other points. Good. Okay. Thank you. We have a question from Kareem Halabi. So we've seen in the past couple of years, and actually the IT community, the members have moved to more as content creators rather than server administrators. So, for example, the time manager, we've been working with Mesh over the last couple of years to move potentially to hosting our the servers behind the time screens with the faculty, which will run it, and the great content creator. And it will be similar to other roles. So the webmasters will be focused on the website, and the curators will be focused more on writing content than maintaining the backend, which is what we're doing a lot this year. So I think that will give us a lot of extra time. And also I've noticed this year that when new people are interested in the IT community, they're interested in creating content rather than maintaining the backend. So I think that's really for the future, right? We have a question from Armand Azadi. So I have two plans related to that. First off, is I've noticed in a lot of our committees, new members may get involved, but it's really different because there's nothing really put into it. I don't know if that's typically the case in Ledger. I've noticed that in IT, and I've heard that in PSP. There's nothing for them to do, so they get involved, and then they think through it. So I'd like to come up with a series of workshops or projects that introductory members can do. It can be the same thing every year. It doesn't really matter because they're new to see them. And second of all, I'd actually like to make better use of the director position. So this year we didn't even have a communications director, and I'd like to make use of that position. It's in their policies to be on the front line for the community members. So I'd like to have somebody capable person in that position to work on. Follow up? Brief. I think it's an avenue we could explore. I heard about a year ago today that we were looking into paying our webmasters, which I also think is an avenue to explore. It would depend on exactly what the role is for. So, as the current bylaws stand, I don't think it would be fair to pay them. I would think it would be more fair to pay writers than it would be for directors. But if the bylaws are changed, I would think so.
We have a question from online. How do you see the IT portfolio developing once you've left it? Do you have faith that there are still students interested in massive time investment that the IT director position requires?
That's certainly a challenge we're facing this year. So this year we had six members on the community project and we're working on last year. And at least two are graduating and at least one is going to. So it's going to be a challenge we face. And I've looked into this past year into recruiting what we call general members. I talked about it briefly a minute ago. And with those workshops and projects that new members can do to get involved, I would hope that more people get involved. It really starts from the general members. It starts with somebody who's done things and becomes IT directors, but they're here, almost impossible. So I would, by strengthening that base of general members, I think that we can increase the IT community and the other communities and the portfolio.
We have a question from current VP Communications, Wasim.
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say there's potentially four VP comms right here in this corner of the room.
High density.
But you talk about directorships. Now I'm curious about your thoughts on the creative director position and how you intend to utilize that position, as it was something that I think was created during Cammy's year, being rather new.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I think their key focuses should be that recruitment via those workshops or via anything else they can come up with. And I think it's the position name really important to find. If it's a creative director, they should be the ones playing, for example, PPS, a tutorial on those code or something, that could be perfect under the creative director role. And another thing I would like the creative director to take charge of, along with the publication director, is what I've called the Formal Union. Me and Malcolm started last year along with the webmasters, and so I have worked on it this year. The Union is a website that unites all of our creative and publication portfolios because they don't necessarily produce enough content to sustain their website. So I'd like to take it all come together in one website as one source.
We have another question from online. How comfortable are you with dealing with administration approaching you about the inclusivity of the plumber's faucet?
So personally, I've never been directly involved with the faucet, and I've heard that there have been problems in the past. I have worked a bit with administration in the past year, not necessarily about content complaints, but I have met with Master a few times about issues with cameras, I mentioned before. So I think I would take administration concerns about the faucet just like I would take concerns from any student. It would be take a complaint, evaluate exactly what they're discussing in the faucet. And then I think the faucet in the past, I know has, since it is a superior certification, there's bound to be borderline jokes in it that could cause problems. So I think good proofreading and a good set of not constraints, but of guidelines for what writers can use and what they can't use beforehand would be good.
All right, we have time for one more question from the audience.
I'll ask one more. Armand talked briefly about marketing to students. Where do you think we can improve marketing in terms of paid sponsorships or advertisement within the services we offer, or other, we could imagine?
So the main sponsor of advertisements right now are in the publication, so the library faucet, and then we have a few on our website. And I don't think it would be necessary to much. Oh, and the handbook at the start of the year. I don't know if there'd be much to change in that. I think that's a pretty solid plan. There's a very fine line between us making money and us bombarding our students with advertising. So, for example, 10 currently doesn't allow ads, and
all right, well, that's it. 1 minute closing remarks, please.
Sure. Just a little to add, one thing that I didn't get to in my opening statement was that one of my pillars is to finish projects that are started. It's a huge problem having an IT committee. Everybody jumps at that exciting new project that they just heard of when they haven't finished the few that they already started. So
I'd like to make that a focus with some concrete lists of what we plan to do for the year ahead, and not dates and just because I've worked very hard for the EUS in the last year, especially, and I'd be honored if you guys would vote me in as VP Talk and continue what I'm doing. Thank you. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute hiatus as we set up the projector for James Halliday to video conference worldwide.
Most international debate.
Jean-Louis, what you thought for external, I think, was...
Ooh. Are you guys doing a Google Hangouts link for it, or is it Skype? Hangouts? Send me that link, because I might be able to show it on here. Whoa! Whoa, fancy! Let's try this.
I'm really sad because I submitted a question and the question was just yearbooks. Where are they at and where are they going?
I took care of that.
Yeah. I'm more like in the future.
Oh,
Are they going to continue existing?
That's a good question. Yeah, Malcolm, send me the Hangouts link. I totally can plug in. Do VP comms ever graduate?
That's the real question. Just graduated just like bio. Bio is for me 2 years and I came in like about 18. Are you like Malcolm and you also have a mobile desktop? So you need to get plugged in constantly too?
Well, it's because I'm streaming all this, so it's using all the power directly.
I was just like, am I the only one that doesn't have really hefty power requirements for computers? Maybe I'm the worst VP comm. I can't tell.
Alright, let's try this.
How are we doing?
Oh wait, I need to sign in. How do I?
Take over my spot with your camera.
How do I sign in? Malcolm, are you able to send me a link that does not require me to sign in? Just a copy-paste link that doesn't require me to sign in. Because I'm parsing it straight into the stream. Like, is there a viewer mode or something? I mean, we got a few minutes, right?
We are almost exactly on the schedule that I predicted, which is amazing.
Or maybe I'll log in on my browser.
So make sure to mute yourself, okay?
Yep.
It's morning where he is. It's amazing. I love the planet. It's some good shit. Time zones are cool, okay, man? Yay!
Hi. So, James, if you're ready, 2-minute opening remarks, and then we'll get to questions.
Awesome. Whenever you're ready.
Awesome. So, hi everybody. Sorry if I feel a little groggy right now. I just took a overnight plane, but so I'll jump right into it. I'm James Halliday. I'm a U3 civil engineering student. I was born and raised in a small northern community, which is why I speak French, and it's part of the reason why I'm so involved and invested in the external body. I fell in love with Kate, and then from there it kind of expanded, and I've come to love almost all, well, not almost, all of the portfolios of the external. Just to give you a background of what I've been involved with in the EUS. So I was on junior council in my first year, and then in 2016, 2017, I was the CEUS VP Finance, I was a Blues Fund manager, and I was the external relations director. And then on top of that, I added I was the 2017 NEC organizing committee chair. So I started the mandate in 2017, and I finished it this past year. I also participated in 2 Eng Games, so I was part of the Eng Games group for the last 2 years. And then from there, I've really fallen in love with the whole external portfolio. It's become something that I love to do. I started looking at the external portfolio right away. I remember I applied to be, I actually campaigned for a day to be VP external on my first day, realized I didn't have the experience, decided to go get the experience and come back once again. So here I am. So this year, I think one of my main focus for the VP external is, of course, bringing more documentation for delegates to go to events. I think that a lot of delegates are definitely getting a lot out of going to CDE, going to Congress, and going to different different conferences. And I want to bring all that information back, have it published, try to inspire ideas within the engineering community, so not only the delegates that go to these events can be inspired. I would like the rest of the engineering body to be inspired. On top of that, I would like to increase the. Okay, perfect. I can continue with any questions. I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any questions for James Halliday? Yes, Rafi. Okay. Kareem Wallaby. What are your thoughts on the efficacy of CFDS?
So I think in the past, the CFDS has struggled very, very hard. I think over the past years, there's been demands made, especially by Jake and a lot of the other schools, McGill on the forefront of that, to try to make the CFDS more productive and that bring stability. And I think over the years they have. I've worked with, I remember 2 years ago when I was the external relations director, they're starting to get their feet under them, to pay their demands, and slowly but surely, CFDS has met those demands. So I think that there's still a lot of room for improvement, and I think there's still a lot of demands that can be made. But I think that overall, the CFDS has been increasing in efficiency and having a stronger, more organized council since over the past couple of years.
Rafi. Okay, Benjamin Durrell.
Yeah. How do you plan on making the McGill delegation for Eng Games bigger?
How do you plan on making the delegation for McGill Eng Games bigger?
I think, well, this year, let's add that her and her team did an amazing job at, I think it was the first McGill Eng Games delegations to be completely full, which is absolutely amazing. I think that they do a great job at promoting, and I think just outreach and making sure that as Eng Games goes on, it tries to be more and more bilingual as they go, and that's one of the goals of Jake as a whole. So trying to reach out to students that think that they're not bilingual enough to do Eng Games is huge, and I think this year Vestrai and the team really tapped into that, and I have no doubt that Kuvish and his future team are going to do that as well. So I think tapping into the students that think they're not bilingual enough to go to Eng Games is a huge part, because Eng Games, despite not understanding a lot of French or any at all, is still an amazing time and a great place to meet people from across the province.
Okay. We have a question from online. Often the Quebec schools do not have the same views as we do regarding equity, enchanting, casual jokes, etc. at Eng Games, which can make McGill engineering participants very uncomfortable. How will you encourage the inclusive participation of McGill engineers at Eng Games using your connections as VP External?
So yeah, that's a very good question. I think that we are ahead, from my experience, okay, in terms of inclusivity. I think a lot of schools lack that ability, and sometimes diversity to see that it could be harmful. I think it's something that should be brought up at CAPE more often. It's something that can be discussed because the Eng Games organizers are where it starts. Enforcing rules from the beginning about what can be accepted and what can't be accepted might be this way to go. Same way Frosh did it. I think it's something that you can definitely bring up with the Eng Games organizing committee. And over the past years, I think they've been more and more open to going in that direction. I think they're behind by a couple of years on McGill, but I think we can get with McGill's influence and with some of the other schools as well. We can bring it to be more inclusive overall.
Any further questions from the audience for James Halliday? Seeing none, James, that's the end of the questions. Do you want to do a 1 minute closing remarks period before we close?
Awesome. So thanks everybody for listening. What I wasn't able to say back then is I think this year we have, like in my opening statement, I think we have Congress this year, which I think is an amazing opportunity for McGill to showcase the inclusivity and the bilingualism we have. I think we can even push the boundaries on that, so I think there's going to be a focus on my mandate to do that. Like I said, I want to bring information back and inspire as many students as possible. And I think I have the skills, leadership, and experience to push any mandates, anything that the EUS needs, I can go and fetch. And I think I have the social ease to do it both politically, like on a political level, and even on a social level during some of the gatherings that they have at CAPE and CTS. And yeah, so thank you very much.
The real question is how the best wife.
Alright. Up next, we're going to the contested position of VP Academic, but unfortunately, one of the candidates is not present. So it'll.
Yeah. So, second candidate is Milind Singh, M-I-L-I-N-D. Last name is Singh, S-I-N-G-H. So, given that Milind can't be here for previous reasons, I'll read a message from him that he wanted to be sent to all of you. And then in terms of timing, we'll proceed as we would for an uncontested candidate for the point of time. So from Milind, unfortunately it looks like I will not be able to make the debate tonight. On my behalf, please forward this message. I'm very sorry that I cannot make it to the debate as I got caught up in an important matter. There are a lot of great candidates for the various EUS executive positions this year, and as such, I would like to present my platform as a candidate. The points of which include giving a louder voice to the students, such that they can speak out about the changes that they wish to see with regards to academic services. I also wish to better arrange the engineering career tutoring service, ETS hours, in an effort to accommodate as many students as possible in the midst of various schedules. And lastly, I propose a service that allows newly admitted students to get better acquainted with the academic and career events opportunities that take place around campus through an informative session that covers the year's upcoming events. Once again, I'm very sorry that I could not make it, and apologize to my fellow candidates for not being there. Thank you.
So with that, we're going to facilitate this as this is an uncontested, so there's about 5 minutes total for responses, but we start with a 2-minute opening statement from Milo Farr.
Alright, so hi guys, I'm Milo. I'm a second year bioengineering student. I started my involvement in EUS last year by doing JC, and then the bioengineering decided to create a student society. And that was a pretty overwhelming experience, and it took us a long time, but I learned a lot. Like, first of all, creating a student society and then trying to run and learn everything from scratch, especially in academic matters. And that's what applying to different funds, that's what encouraged me to run for VP Academic this year. So I'm going to give you like a summary of my platform. EUS because I feel it's unfair that students feel the need to go and seek external tutoring services and pay a lot of extra money. Then I want to look at transparency for EUSF, which is the Indian Undergraduate Student Fund. There is a really huge amount of surplus accumulated in that fund, and I plan to use that surplus to either revamp EPTS or create a student initiative fund. Then I want to create a document which would summarize the student rights, because there's a lot of things happening in engineering classrooms that are kind of illegal, but students don't know their rights, so we're not aware that this is happening. So I want to, first of all, create a document specifically for engineering students, advertise it, and then be there if somebody is complaining. And then lastly, I want to work on our communication with youth in school, because there's a lot of resources available to us because we are part of in school, and I feel like they are underutilized right now. So I plan to also work on our communications with youth services as well.
Good. Okay. Do we have any questions from the middle part? Ross.
So I was wondering, what are your thoughts on the current renewable energy? Like, for example, I was from energy companies, but the PCSC is very big into what they do, like global economy. So I was wondering what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. That is, first of all, a space issue, because McGill has this objective of increasing the number of students over time, but we don't think about the fact that there is no space available. So I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be started with us, and that is why I plan to, first of all, put a survey out and ask students about their topics, which that is a big part of it, and then try to gather some data, working with the data analytics center that created with the academic portfolio this year, because if you don't have data, students don't listen to, right? So I'm planning to use those data and then trying to start a conversation with that institution, because this is a lot of project. This is something that everybody knows that it's happening. There's a lot of students, and there's no space, and enrollment is a huge issue. And I feel like the first step to do is to start a conversation and then see what we can do.
What are your thoughts about diversifying the engineering population at McGill? For instance, I think this past year we had the highest percentage of women who entered McGill University, around 34%, and like how do you plan to support marginalized groups?
Yeah, because that's an amazing question. First of all, I was really passionate about this topic, especially because when I got elected as president, I actually called a meeting with my team explaining that all bioengineering teachers are white OBs, and I requested to have more diversity in our department, and that resulted in my department having a female teacher. From minorities, I plan to work with the First People's House, which is on Hill Street, and try to work because I don't know if you know this, but they have free tutoring available for indigenous students, and I think like if we can make them work together with EPTS, that can open up so many doors to minorities, I guess.
Thank you. We have a question from online. Do you think that the usage of EUSF to benefit current students is fair, given that the excess funds have been contributed to by many other years of students, many of whom no longer attend the go?
Yes, that is a huge issue. That when I first, as the president of the Bioengineering Student Society, I had to apply to this fund. And I don't know if you guys know this, but right now there's a surplus of 225K in EUSF, which got accumulated over the years, and that is something that is really unethical. Exactly because the person asked the question, because these people are paying student fees. If this is going into this fund and they're graduating and the money is not being used. Unfortunately, right now there's nothing we can do for that because these people are gone. What I'm trying to do is to prevent this problem from growing and just try to stop it now and use this money for the benefit of students who are currently here, so that at least those who are still here can benefit from this.
Rafi.
Talking about a little bit about academic rights, in terms of rights that are currently for students, outline succession policies or rights, and in terms of policy after the students have been a key edge of their goals. I understand that at the university level, there's probably for one of the back end of the for the faculty to university wide. So with that in mind, let's assume that next year we get rid of the university student assessment policy, the faculty get rid of the assessment policy. What basic student rights do we agree with?
Okay, so first of all is the amount of midterms that a human can do in a specific amount of time. That is something I really want to work on because it's some situations that happen right now are basically inhuman. That said, this is going to be a long-term project, right? You can't just get on the faculty and be like, oh yeah, this is not fair, you have to work on this. So the first thing I want to do is to start a conversation. Is to go and help the faculty, go and help the next, and be like, these things are not okay. And then second of all, those minimum rights that you just mentioned, some students don't even know those. Some students don't even know that they have the minimum amount of rights. So I also trying to advertise them because this policy can use like these documents that entitle all the rights. They're so long and I feel like they're so hard to read in a way that no one actually bothers to go and read them. So my plan and my idea for this is that let's start and make a summary of everything that you absolutely need to know so that it makes your academic life a little easier and then try to enforce those rules while I'm working with other departments of the academics.
We have a question from online asking, where is the Engineering Undergraduate Support Fund, the EUSF, was created in a time of crisis to alleviate the effects of government cuts on the quality of undergraduate education, whereas the various engineering departments now take for granted that they receive EUS funding year after year. Do you think that the EUSF should continue to exist after its expiration in 2019, and why?
That is a very simple. So I have been talking to the past 3 VP academics in the US and went to Latin, to Italy, and to March. And what they try to do is that they try, first of all, they lowered the student fees by $5 2 years ago. And what I'm thinking is that I want to lower it by another $5. I don't want this fund to necessarily die because I feel like there's so much potential for it. If we can concentrate towards something like, for example, a student initiative policy. Because right now, technically, all students can also apply to this fund, but again, it's the problem of advertising and no one knows that they can apply to this fund. So I'm trying to like shift the focus towards student initiatives, because that is true. People do take it for granted and they are just like, oh yeah, there's money, we're just going to get it no matter what, so let's just give it a proposal. But I feel like if we advertise more and then make it open to all the students in the US, then the money would actually be put to some good use.
Let's comment on that question.
If you'd like a clarification, we'll leave it at that, but keep it brief.
The USF was created, I think, around the time of the Steve Bannon country that the government came up with inflation into that. As far as I know, the budget has not been really previous stats of the government cuts, but we still make the argument that we're in a crisis. I do not understand why now, 5 years after, there's still the same amount of money that was cut. Why is the US actually less? Yeah, or why are you less than that?
All right. And we can all sit quietly with our thoughts and pondering those questions. Next question. You're currently the bioengineering president. However, you're running for EUS VP academic, which requires tackling issues across all departments. What makes you think that you have the qualifications to tackle this new frontier?
That is a very good question. So as I mentioned, BUS was created from scratch. So literally every single thing that BUS has done since day one, I had to learn every single step of it, and I had to read every single bylaw that exists in the EUS. So I can confidently say that I know how EUS works, which is like I wrote the Constitution, which is pretty long. However, I can say that with the experiences that I've gained, I feel like it's not possible.
All right. With that, we're out of time for questions. You now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Yeah, thank you for all the amazing questions. As you might have known, I'm really, really passionate about EUS, and I'm really glad to see all the changes that have been happening during the past years. and I'm really excited to see what the EUS is becoming next year. Thank you.
So, up next, hang in there, everyone. We've only got 2 positions left to cover. Up next, we have the uncontested position of VP Services. So, welcome Sarah forward to the stage. Sorry, yeah.
Stage.
To the table.
Alright, whatever until it's done. Yeah. As always, you have a 2-minute opening statement. Whenever you're ready.
Hi everybody, so my name is Sarah Ford. I'm a second year mechanical engineering student and running for VP Services. So what I would like to do this year, if I'm elected, is to work with EPTS and talk to professors about getting new course material to be put into Topic EUS. Because right now a lot of people are resorting to Prep 101 or Transcend Finals or any of that outside tutoring, which is expensive and not everyone has the funds to be able to access that. So I'd like to revamp and modernize the material that are in those course packs right now, so that it is more useful for the courses. I'd also like to think about allocating new space for storage, because right now there's a lot of things being stored in like the meeting room or in the reading room, which is not storage space. So I'd like to think about allocating new storage space to prevent further encroachment on what we have left.
Okay. Yeah. We now open the floor up to questions for VP Services candidate Sarah Ford. Yes, Rafi Zonas.
Okay, so it would be, I would be talking with EPTS, those tutors, and they have their own little course packs going on, and I would be talking to the profs themselves, so I mean, they would have the material they're getting made for their classes, I'm assuming would be distributed for their class.
Yes, Kareem Halabi.
So I've kind of believed that the economy doesn't tend to be very well utilized. This seems to be a trend that happens every year. Do you have any idea on improvements to
Yeah, so I think that the game room is very underutilized. I feel like it's very crowded, and so less people kind of want to go in there. I think that kind of actually getting rid of some of the couches in there and making it more open would help. I also think that maybe getting more desks in this area that we're in right now to encourage studying would be very useful, because this is a very big area that would be utilized for that.
We have a question from online. We've heard from most of the candidates about equity and accessibility. Could you tell us how you think equity fits into the services portfolio and how you would ensure that EUS services become increasingly accessible?
That's a good question. Considering that the services that the employees directly are in contact with the students, it is very important that they are treating the students equitably. So I think that having the people who are hired in all of the managers in the employee positions making sure that they have the appropriate training, talk to people and people.
I saw a hand from I almost called high five.
So the renovations to the cafeteria also made the classroom accessible and more. Do you see yourself in the faculty?
That was actually the space that I was thinking of allocating for storage. Because there's like all of the slosh stuff that are used once a year. I was thinking of trying to move that in there, or using that as allocated storage so that we can open up the committee.
Yes, Grace.
I know a lot about the general store, but I think you really not know 4 of the 5 general store managers are going to be. So how do you plan on ensuring the knowledge and success of the general store involved that it doesn't suffer?
I think that would be important to have people starting to train
as managers learning now. So having applications and moving up so it can shadow the current managers, because like ending reports aren't always the best way to transfer knowledge, because it's easy to read something, but it's not as easy to apply what you've read as it would be if you actually did it with the other person. So I think having a good house so they can shadow would be a really good idea.
We have a question from online. Can you list one major challenge facing each of the major staff services in the upcoming year? The services being Frostbite, Diesel, Copy EUS, and Q. I can repeat the question. Okay. Yes, Austin.
Yeah, Copy EUS, you mentioned quite a bit about offering course packs and creating new ones for students. EUS has a lot of course packs and course material already there that's already set up for students. What are your plans for kind of advertising it while knowing that a lot of professors don't like what's there necessarily? Like sometimes Peter will offer things to students and say, don't tell your teacher that we have this because these are really good notes. So what's your ideas for kind of advertising this because that's part of your platform, but while not advertising it to profs necessarily?
Good question. I think that word of mouth is a very important advertising method in this case. Like right now, a lot of resources are available through like Dropboxes, but then again, you have to know the right people to get access to those Dropboxes. So I think that reaching out and talking to people, so like people who've taken the class before can kind of drop hints. So I think it would be more of like a rain down effect.
Yes, go on.
I was wondering, since the coming during the day when students and the events, I was wondering if you had any other content, because I know last year they started with the with the disinfection. So I was wondering if you had any content.
Yeah, I think that making this study area would be a better idea. Like I know the physics common room is used as more of a study area than entertainment area. And I think there's a lot of unused space that have more tables. And while the natural light isn't great, but I think it could be really useful for that.
Yes, Kareem.
You mentioned about using the club before, and you probably know space and storage space and how to space on buildings is like this. So what are your ideas on how to properly allocate among the many communities clubs design teams every group on EUS that
a lottery system, I think, would be the fairest way to go about that. Just apply into having the
Another question from Florence.
I think third seems holding down, and a lot of people want to see that space for the stuff. So a lot of them are not really told to do that. So when we kind of like have that space and making sure that they for like the EUS space. That's not to help them keep up with
I think it's important just to stay organized in that aspect, to make sure that I think that it can all be challenged. I think that there is enough space for meetings, whether it's through like the 12K rooms, or like the fifth floor, or just meeting in the common room as we said, just utilize during the day. I think that would just be really organization to make sure that everyone has a
Yes, awesome.
Yeah, you're a community of booster members, so I'm sure that maybe sometimes you come in and the kitchen is a disaster because some group had a movie night on a Wednesday and they never cleaned. What are your thoughts on implementing some sort of accountability system so the boost club managers don't just have to clean it up every Friday?
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good question. I think that it would be important, maybe not have checks every night, but to have more
like, yeah, like kind of check every once in a while to make sure that everyone is pulling their fair share. And I know along with the storage room that a lot of people use the storage room and then leave it a mess afterwards. But I think that again, once you know someone is doing something wrong, to really hold them accountable. And to do that, just follow up afterwards with them.
Okay. We have another question from online. What qualifications do you think you bring to the table to VP Services portfolio outside of having been a booth club manager?
As I have been a business manager, I have not had any managerial experience in this, but I think that I can learn quickly, and I'm really excited to do this, which I think is one of the most important aspects. Because if you're motivated to really do that.
We have time for one more question from the floor. Mary?
I guess I have a follow-up to that. Can you just expand a little bit on why you wanted to do this?
I love EUS and I want to give back. And I really like all the services that are offered. Like I've looked across by a store all the time because the end cap coffee is too expensive. And I just love it.
That's it. We have 1 minute for closing remarks.
Just thank you all for coming out. I know it's one of the last people. It's hard to stick through it, missing everyone.
Okay. Hanging there, everybody. We've got one last debate, the big one, the one-on-one, the Presidentes debate. So, Alex Sheppel, Kristen Renandin, please join me up at the dais. Huh? Kristen Renandin.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Take a picture right now.
We're so in.
I'm gonna say this before they finish their debates, because after that happens, I'll lose all of your attention. So when they're done, we will be done. But you're more than welcome to stay and ask the candidates who are remaining questions if you wish. Those who are able to will be sitting around. And if you're not doing anything for the next 10 minutes, you should stay and help us move furniture. And if you don't like moving furniture, all of this stuff can go back upstairs. That would be amazing. Because I don't like this.
Can you guys speak up? Can you guys speak nice and loud? Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. So you guys know the deal. 2-minute opening remarks, and then we're going to go into a total 15 minutes for the contested position. Response time, we'll alternate between these parts. And then we'll follow up with a 1-minute closing statement. So with all that being said, Alex, if you'd like to start us off with a 2-minute opening statement.
Sure. Hey everyone, so my name is Alex Sheppel, and I'm running for I'm running for EUS president, obviously. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering student, and I've been heavily involved in EUS and website groups for the past 2 years. I'll start off by describing some of my experience. So first off, I'm a member of the board of directors, as listed, and that's a new initiative that started in the past year, and we're in charge of ensuring the financial, or the legal and financial stability of the society. So my hopes with that in the next year, if elected, is to really develop that and define its role so everyone knows why it exists and how it interacts with council, and then just increase some of the transparency between council and the board and the general population. Another thing that I've done in the last year is the VP Access name. So I learned how to work in a team a lot through that experience, and then there's also the head of a sponsorship committee, which is an initiative that I brought back to the position. And then the last thing I'll talk about is the being a member of the board of directors of SMOO. And so I hope to utilize that position, which will last until November 14th, to try and build ties with SMOO, because it's a direct connection between myself and the SMOO president, a few of the other executives, and some of the council reps. So really briefly, I'll describe kind of my 3 pillars that I outlined on my Facebook event page, which is connections with groups. So I want to try and mend some ties and then build new ties with the various groups inside and outside of the US. And so that would be like SMOO, as I said, that would be other schools, that would be with the faculty admin, and that would be between departments. So I have a few different ideas for that I can hopefully explore when asking questions. And then creating some impactful resources that are a bit more far-reaching than some of the ones that we currently have, so that we can reach out to the 3,000 plus engineering students that we don't with all of our events currently. And then another thing would be the remodeling of the equity committee to try and shine some light on the really positive things that they're doing because they're doing great things right now. And then relieve some of the pressure from some of the commissioners because it's a really taxing job. So I'll cover everything else in my closing remarks.
All right. Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tristan. I've been pretty involved with the EUS over the past year. I work at the DSOR. I've also co-chaired both Frosh and eWeek. In terms of experience directly relevant to the portfolios, to the president's portfolio, I also sit on the board of governors for the EUS, and I'm on the EUS Equity. I do comms for them. So I'm really passionate about making the EUS more accessible to the EUS general members, and for that to happen, I have a bunch of concrete ideas that I want to implement throughout the president's portfolio. The first one is council. I really hope to push council towards a working group structure where people can use council to exchange ideas more. The second one is the board. I agree with Alex. I think that the board needs more transparency and openness. Not a lot of people know what the board does and why it's so vital for this student society. The second point is EUS equity. I want to keep pushing for the positive implementation of EUS equity's idea and keep the new structure that's in place. The fourth point is laying the groundwork for alumni relationships. It's something that's not, there's no structure currently for alumni to interact with the EUS, and so that's something I want to work on. And last thing is, keeping that focus on the exec team. It's a huge part of the president's portfolio. That's pretty much it. Hopefully I'll be able to go more in depth. Any questions? Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for listening.
Open the floor to the questions. Mary Moliere.
So people talked about the equity portfolio. Something that equity struggled with this year is not only finding enough people to do boards, but also finding facilitators to do equity trainings for every single group that has to go through them. Do you guys have any concrete plans to remedy the lack of equity facilitators and people who are actively interested in equity?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that equity has this ability to spark conversation on topics, and it's something we saw when all the candidates for EUS executive positions got together and talked. When it comes to facilitators themselves, what I think the issue is, the core of the issue is the image of EUS equity. I think people think that EUS equity is going to come in and try to police different events or ideas, and that's really not the case. Throughout my experience with event planning, I really understand the value that equity brings to the table. And so what I wish to do is not only restructure equity, and so have the two very strong co-commissioners and have people that facilitate workshops under them, and have the department of coordinator positions, but also rebrand equity. And I think that's going to be huge because if we use equity to add value like accessibility and inclusivity as well, and try and change that image, hopefully people will see a lot of value and we'll get more facilitators.
Yeah, so I agree, and I agree that a lot of the decisions within the equity committee are really taxing. So I think that the goal is to try and frame it so that it's equity is an issue that everyone is consciously caring about, and it's not something that a few people have to focus on ensuring. So I think a good way of doing that is to try and bring it down to the department level a little bit more, like has been done with the coordinators. But I think it's about also, like Christine said, it's about rebranding it so that it's not seen as these people, like the coordinators on the departments, being the people who are just shutting down ideas, because that's taxing on those people, and it's obviously not fair to them. It's about making it so that that whole department learns that they're going to consciously put in place equitable practices whenever they're what's their plan.
Thank you. Yes, Florence.
Last year, Taylor already decided to introduce scholars out of the regulation to having a pair of comments all of Europe, which is a pretty common trend, I think, in other universities, like the values that that. So I was wondering if you guys are really interested in implementing scholars, or is it quite a stock, right? So available, or would you create a new item that is US
Okay, yeah, so this is something I put a lot of time into. I talked to Joel. I don't want to put too much on it because I know Skip wrote this whole campaign. But I think that's what he told me. So I want to work with a lot of other schools. Like I said, I want to build connections with other schools. And so I think that if we participate in other school events and invite them to come to the McGill, we'll see a lot of the spirit and stride that they have, and we'll kind of be inspired to try and improve that. Because it's something that I do really want to improve. After going to Congress this past month, which is like a big CFS conference, like I just saw the amount of like coveralls and scarves and all that stuff that other and patches that other schools had, and it was really, really impressive just to see that school spirit. And so I really want to try and increase that. I think scarves are a great idea, as I think Arnold also agrees. But I know that it was hard to implement those before. I would like to push for that a bit more, and I think that students will see the value in that if we see the take that other schools have.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really interesting idea. I don't necessarily think that scarves are the way to go about it, because talking with Alec, he's been so pretty adamant about how big of a hole they put in the budget and how like expensive it was. That being said, I agree that we should find a way for like the US to come together. I think the way like what I would want to push is patches and event specific patches. So instead of having something that's like US wide, I think people that like partake in a specific event can get a patch out of it, and then they can showcase that patch to have some pride. Right now it's only implemented in like I guess for like end games and like cross and e-week. If we extended that more to like non-driven events, I think that could be really good.
Yes, Kyle.
So this question may be framed as a really mechanical problem, but it speaks to the fact of you guys having to deal with faculty that may not see eye to eye. And keep that in mind. In mechanical, we're extremely restricted on the resources in terms of our hands-on experience, because we have people in positions of power that are either very knowledgeable or do not agree with the overall ethos and what it means to be an engineer. So how do you see yourself facing these problems and be able to work with faculty in a way that is both constructive and active for these?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I think just I'm gonna go back over like, my previous experience working with admin and showing like how I managed to like bring this all, and because ultimately I think it's all about like dialogue and making sure that like there's proper understanding between different positions. So I think Frost is a big thing. Working with admin, I work with campus site engagement. I also interact with the students a lot when it comes to like MOU and stuff like that. When I was on student council as well, I interacted with other bodies outside of the EUS, and then obviously interact with students a little bit. Last thing is Simbo is this project I'm part of for Simbo. I met with the deputy professor of life and learning numerous times. I've met with MESC as well when it came to training the advisors and making sure everything was okay with them. I think that working with admin is like is a give and take, because they need to understand that like as students we have demands, but you also need to recognize the position admin is in sometimes, and it's like compromise.
Just a quick clarification. So is it kind of like within national specific, like why we don't really have everything?
Try to phrase it more in terms of admin to be correct.
Okay. I think that a big thing is to not be afraid to disagree with people and to give a little push if it's needed, because the role as president isn't just to agree with everyone and be all friendly and everybody. It's about representing the students, and if they have opinions, it's about pushing for that and not being afraid to challenge someone. And then I think it's also about finding people within admin, like Props, that are willing to agree with you and are on the same side as you, because I think that they have a lot of say in their faculty. So like earlier today, I was talking to Professor Driscoll about stuff with the workshop safety committee, and he's really positive. He's really pushing for positive change when it comes to some of the safety training and reducing the course hours. And so he's pushing other Props and some of the admin to try and inspect some of that.
We have a question from Aman Zadi. Alex, you have the floor.
Okay. So right off the bat, I think it's really important to establish good communication between the people in the team right off the bat. So that would be right as soon as transition starts with community gap. And just to make sure that there's clear communication lines, so if people are struggling with something or they have questions that they have to ask, I think another big thing for building a good team dynamic is to encourage collaboration. So even if two portfolios don't necessarily overlap, but one person is interested in something that somebody else is doing, seeing if those two people want to work together. And then another thing, which after talking to a lot of the current execs, they seem supportive of, was something that we're going to do this year, were tangible team goals. So as people complete things, it's like a tangible board where you see the progression of, oh, they did this task, and everyone else can see that they're getting stuff done. So it'll be a bit of recognition when somebody gets like a big set of tasks done. And so I think it's just like, finding a good team dynamic by making sure that everybody's willing to talk and willing to work together.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I agree. I think it's really important to have that sort of mind-playing presence, vision. So just going back off my experience for EWIC and Frosh, building teams is something that I've done already. And what I've noticed is that it's really important to build a positive and constructive environment. So for Frosh specifically, you have new coordinators coming in that have new ideas, and you need a proper environment for the new coordinators to properly express their ideas. So going off that environment, I think that I need to properly identify myself as a resource and show that if someone has a conflict, they can come to me, and making sure that the environment is positive overall. Also, I think that being aware of what's happening in your exec team is super important. If like your execs have different pressure points or like disagreements, I think you need to address them early on without. I think that's what you can. Yeah. So you need to like address the issues before they come to light.
Okay. Thank you. We have a question from online asking. Obviously, the administrative manager position has struggled since Diane's retirement. What are your plans for filling this gap in the EUS staff in a sustainable way? And Tristan, you have the floor.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really hard position because of a hard question because of the void that Diane left when she retired. I think it boils down to the recruitment process and making sure that we learn from our mistakes from this year. The board and the execs have worked really closely together on this issue, and so just building off what went wrong this year and what worked well with Diane. Hopefully, we can find the difference there.
Yeah, so similarly, I think that a big part of it is like clearly defining the role so that we know exactly what the duties are. And then, as you said, learning from our mistakes. So I think that the contract is in need of like updating, so that the person knows exactly what it is their roles are. And then just obviously choosing someone that makes the office friendly environment, so that students aren't afraid to come by, because that's like the central point of the EUS, and we want to make sure that students can come by and ask the executive team questions if they have them, and just create like a really friendly environment.
Okay. Rocky Jonas.
Going on what I said in general, as the president, you are the leader of the EUS. And if you are like the president, and that means that the people of the constituency will come down you, or like you will go to conference that you think that you need to do, and you have to say something. Sometimes those are unpopular with constituents as well as or certain constituents and popular constituents as well as the executive. So in 5 years we talked about an instance where you had an unpopular opinion where you defend yourself against an authority figure or an authority.
I think of an unpopular opinion that I've had recently. I can't think of anything off the top of my face, but I guess I'll just kind of expand on the rest of your question. Sorry about that. It's about making sure that you're listening to people's voices, and not, like as I said before, not being afraid to kind of like challenge people if it is an unpopular opinion, but also just making sure that that the people that you're representing know why you're making the decisions that you're making, and holding everybody accountable, so that even if it seems like people aren't making the right decisions in certain cases, that you know that they're accountable to their actions, and then also just creating those transparent lines so that they actually know what they're doing. I guess if I can think of something after, I'll say something I've been thinking of.
Yeah, for sure. So again, it's also pretty hard to like pinpoint to one specific time where that has happened. But I guess during Frosh, we had this issue at the end of the summer where we had a decent amount of money left over, and we discussed what we wanted to do with it. And so people on the committee felt that they were really appreciative of the work that the Frosh teams had put in, and so they wanted to give a 2-4 to every Frosh group so that they could use them for like their team creed or stuff like that. And then people on the committee also felt that because of the amount of extensive training Frosh was going through when it comes to like drinking and like peer pressure, just like tossing over people to our leaders kind of sent a bad image. I was in the later group. I think that at the end of the day, like people are gonna have disagreements. That has to happen for sure. But it's about you as president to lay expectations beforehand and make sure that when these disagreements do happen, there are no hard feelings afterwards. You need to have a constructive environment where people can exchange ideas because this is how we're going to make progress as a society.
We have a question from online submission. Many candidates in the past, just full disclosure, I didn't submit this, can you check, it's on the spreadsheet. Many candidates in the past have boasted and supported the US Wiki ideally, but very few, have actually made efforts to maintain, let alone build upon it. Do you differ in this position?
Yeah, so I really think the US Wiki is vital actually. So for those of you who don't know, I'm also on Nogi this year, and one of my like big roles for Nogi is that I'm the senior product manager. It's a position. Basically, what I do is that I recruit 3 to 5 first-year students or second-year students, and I train them into how to use the EUS, so how to build tables, how to do promotion sales, how to run events, all the like nitty-gritty stuff that happens in the EUS. And the one thing that I always tell them is go to the wiki. Like if you don't know what's happening, go online, go look it up, and for sure it's there. So I really understand and have a hands-on approach when it comes to the value that the EUS wiki brings to the table, and maintaining it is something that I would strive to do.
Yeah, and similar agreements, I really want to encourage its development. I was actually talking about this literally yesterday, and some nights before I go to sleep, I'll just click the random page in the wiki and read like something. Blue Bears Park was the last one I read. I did a working group with a bunch of other people last year. To be honest, I didn't contribute too much about it because it was at the start of last year and I didn't do too much about updating the wiki. But we just tried to add to some of the new pages, and I think that would be a really cool project in the future. And especially encouraging some younger students to participate in that, so that it can be an opportunity to update the wiki, but at the same time teach incoming students a lot about the EUS.
Yes, Jessica.
Okay.
So they don't have the stars around it that we already talked about, but that was just one thing that wasn't actually in the president's portfolio. And there actually are a lot of things that aren't in the president's portfolio that are projects that you might be interested in. So how do you go about working on those projects without making the fellow executives feel that you're encroaching on the portfolio?
Okay, yeah, so that's a big thing for me. I'm actually really interested in a lot of the different portfolios, and that's why I've tried to talk with a lot of the other execs about the overlap between the president and the other VP positions. Like I said, like in my Facebook event, like mental health is a big thing. I really am interested with a lot of things to do with the academic portfolio, and then also external, especially after being on Congress this past year. So I have a lot of new ideas and initiatives that I want to eventually see grow, but I know that that's under the mandate of whichever VP is in charge of that. So I think my role would be a supportive figure where I bring these ideas, discuss them with them. If they don't think that it's great, they don't have to pursue it. But if they do, I'm there to get them to a bit of a running start. But if it's a bigger project and they aren't, and if they want more support, it'll be something that I can continue along with them and focus on for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that like one concrete example of that is the departmental equity and mental health coordinator position that was implemented. And so for that, obviously equity is under the president and mental health is under student life. I do think that there's a lot to gain from collaboration. Obviously the position shows that, but you need to respect the fact that other VPs have like their say and they're elected by the people to push their platforms. So I think that if I have ideas in other like VP's portfolio, I would pitch it to them, see what they think, and then try and see what I can do from my end to make that happen. If they disagree, obviously we have like a conversation.
Yes,
I just need a help. Oftentimes, some people issues are escalate from brand building for the services. Like the quality may be high, but the amount of volume makes it almost inaccessible. Would you promote or approach the idea of creating something which addresses uniquely engineering mental health issues and so oftentimes academics, and how would you see the program?
Yeah, for sure. So I would obviously support such an initiative, but I think that again it goes back to what the president can do about the issue, and it goes back to more boots on the ground. I think that creating more events and more resources through EUS equity to be able to address this problem and working collaboration with the VP for Life is something that I would want to do. More events that are like either therapy dogs or like bringing like trained professionals, or like more resources when it comes to the like recent name mission survival guide that was put up, or like other initiatives that are being done by different departmental coordinators. So I think this is what we can do like at the boots on the ground level for higher initiatives. I think it boils down to what the GP student can do.
Yeah, once again, preface it by like since mental health isn't directly under the portfolio, it would be about bringing those initiatives and seeing the reactions by the student life. But the two big ideas that I've talked about and discussed with some councils over the past few weeks were a peer support network, where it would be student-run and kind of like student office hours where you could come by and just talk about like the week's been kind of shitty and you haven't been getting sleep and you have a lot of midterms, and just kind of get some of those things off your chest. But then something that's a bit more serious might be an idea that Waterloo actually pursues, where we have engineering trained specific episodes that students can book throughout the days, that they operate for a few hours each weekday. I know that that's a bit more of an issue that we need to look into based on funding and stuff, but it would just be one of those areas where you have to talk to the dean and really try and push the dean. I know he's in agreement with a lot of mental health initiatives, but just trying to work with him and try and bring something a bit more concrete onto the floor.
So if both candidates are amenable, we would like to spend a response time for about 5 minutes, but we only have time for about one question more. Is that okay with you? Okay. That being said, we have a question from online. The first real response is Alex. On paper, you seem like very similar individuals. What do you think makes you a better choice for our president, whether it's a personality trait, an idea for the future, or a history of successful idea execution? And I'd like to remind you both that no attacks on the other candidates. Cheers. I mean,
yeah, I do agree that both of us are very similar when it comes to a lot of ideas in our portfolios. I guess the one that I'll focus on that I think we differ a decent amount is just in there's a lot about the internal portfolio for sure. One of the things that I want to focus on a bit more is working with whoever's the external, should they wish that be. And I think that's through like collaborations with other schools, especially in Quebec, and kind of bridge the ties with them. Even though we are like a primarily English school, I think that is no reason that we shouldn't collaborate with these other schools, and then also working with Ontario schools, and then just support or pushing more towards involvement in the CFES and trying to optimize the relationship with them. And I think because I attended Congress this past winter, that me going to President's meeting in September and following up with the VP External would be great to make sure that the executive team there actually follows through on the mandates that were assigned to them at Congress.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question actually. It's true that we do have like similar vision when it comes to the way we want the president's portfolio to go. What I urge people to look at maybe is how we want to implement these ideas and what the differences are there. Also maybe like experience-wise, it's very true that Alex has gone to CFES. I was doing lead stuff, so I really couldn't make that. But when it comes to like equity as well, I've been really involved with US equity over this past year, and sitting on council as well. We're both involved on SMOOth, but I've sat on the US council. So I think just the way and like the concrete like small details that we want to push for our different platforms is where the big difference is.
Further questions from the audience? Okay, we have more questions from online, no problem. Oh yes, Armand.
Yes.
Great question.
Okay, we'll get back to you. I think this is a pointed question. Since you'll be responding first, how do you feel about the slowly increasing trend to pay positions with the EUS that are seen as unsavory? Are you worried about a slippery slope towards the loss of a volunteer base?
That's interesting. I think that the most concrete like way to showcase that sentiment, I guess, is what Alex Thomason wants to do currently with the finance director and how he wants to make that position paid. I think it's on a case-by-case basis, and you need to look at the reasoning behind each directorship and whether or not you want them to be paid. So, for example, for the finance director position, Alex says that he wants it to be paid because he believes that the finance should not be taken up by some like nitty-gritty stuff, and that he wants to focus on more like long-term projects such as the endowment foundation and stuff like that, which I agree with. I think that if the VP Finance wants to have some long-term vision for the EUS, it makes sense, and using the EUS's resources to make that happen works. When it comes to the like, volunteer base, I disagree. I think there's so much passion in the EUS. People care so much about the EUS, and I don't see that solving anything.
Yeah, I think that it's about like making sure that it's clearly defined of what the mandates of those paid positions are and why they're paid, and then keeping like a fine line between or fine definition between paid positions and the volunteer basis. But it's also about making sure that we can get as much as we can out of those paid positions. Like Kristen said with the VP or the finance director, yeah, throwing some of that like less glorious work, but to offset that, it's a paid position. So the VP Finance can focus on more things like their own initiatives, maybe corporate sponsorship, stuff like that, where the finance director is dealing with like the tedious day-to-days. And then once again, yeah, I think that the volunteer basis is quite strong, and I think that if we just create like I said, healthy dynamics within the EUS, people will stay motivated to continue volunteering.
Okay, Armand.
Yes, I have a little bit of question.
Okay, keep it concise, please.
So, Alex, I know made a good point about starting a lot of projects not necessarily finishing them because like how do you do something like that you don't start how would you resolve conflict and that's maybe like
Those are two different questions. I'm sorry. Pick one. Pick one.
yeah, the second one.
Okay, so we're
resolving conflict in a team, especially if you have new team, so okay, so how would you resolve conflict in a team where say you have an underperforming judge or you have a double and how would you go about it?
So I think it's about being like professional about that. It's not about like calling them out in the middle of a meeting. It's about taking them aside and talking to them when you need to, and saying like, hey, I know you're doing well in these areas, but I'm going to be honest, I'm lacking in these, and I'm expecting this out of you. So like, you need help, you need resources. But at the end of the day, like this needs to get done. Then let's figure out how that can get done together. And then with that comes things that I said before about just creating a healthy dynamic where there's clear lines of communication. So if somebody is struggling with something, they can hopefully come to you and feel comfortable telling you that before the problem compounds, so that nothing gets out of hand. But really just creating something that's comfortable and like back to the healthy team dynamic, and just making sure that people are aware of each other's problems and there to support each other.
Yeah. I like obviously it's never fun when that happens, and I do have experience with my own teams where you have to hold people accountable, especially for event planning because it's like so demanding. Before I get into like how we like manage issues and stuff like that, I think it's also super important to acknowledge that exec is a really hard and demanding role too, and like it's not easy on anyone, and having a conversation is never fun. That being said, I think it also goes back to setting expectations, identifying yourself as a mediator. We're both presidents, like we're both running through president, right? So we identifying yourself as mediator is super important. And then having the knowledge to be able to resolve any issue that arises is also super important. Again, proper team dynamics and making sure that there are no hard feelings is something that's super important as well. When it comes to like event planning, for example, if you hold people accountable and like the people you're going to be working with are going to be your friends. So when you hold them accountable, you need to make them there are no hard feelings because you're going to like keep seeing them around.
Great. Okay. We have another online question here. Do you think each departmental society has an equal voice at the president's meeting right now? And if not, what would you change?
Yeah, for sure. So I've actually talked to a couple of presidents about that one. What they say is that they think that the president's meeting, as it stands currently, is just a duplicate of council in the sense that people just give updates as to what they're doing, and that's pretty much it. I don't think like I wish to do more with the president's meeting. I think people can like talk about higher level initiatives that they're doing in their own departmental council and how their skill set is more transferable to different departments. When it comes to having an equal voice, I do understand that there are bigger departments and they want to have like more to say. But when I've interacted with other departments, they didn't really necessarily convey that opinion. So I think that as things stand currently, there's no like bias issue.
Yeah, I think it's just about continuing to develop that presidency because I think it's something that's really useful, especially because I think that it can kind of some things could potentially shift from council to that presidency. Some things that aren't necessarily needed to be talked about everyone at council can kind of be discussed, and then that knowledge can be transferred from the presidents to the people all in their council. But I think I think that the presidency should develop to something that's more where we're encouraging development or collaboration between departments and encouraging people to ask where their department's struggling and try and get advice from departments that are doing well in that area. I think that there should be a lot more intra-department collaboration, especially between small and big departments, because so I'm from Met, and I know that a lot of the collaborations that we do are already with like access or civil, but I think it would be really great if we expanded to some of those smaller departments, because why not?
Thank you. Any further questions from the audience? Yes, Mr. Sabasin.
Mr. You mentioned council a lot, but I just want to know why is council important to you? Why is it important to the U.S.? What would you improve of it? You know, just your thoughts on council.
Yeah, so it's important because like obviously a lot of work that's done, a lot of good things happen there. I know that the introduction of the board was good because it removed some of the pressure from council and made it so that you know, going to council meetings aren't as treacherous because they can be long tedious meetings. But I think it's about making them as engaging as possible and making sure that people are willing to participate. But obviously it's important because it's all the representatives of their years and departments and making sure that the students' voices are actually getting heard. When it comes to improvements within council, I think that just trying to increase some of the efficiency within it. I think that there's sometimes discussions that don't necessarily need to be had or don't need to be had for as long. So being knowing when to stop the discussion and move that maybe to a working group and then bring that back to council.
I really want to push the working group structure. Being on council last year, I've obviously tried to go there on council this year, and so I understand that there are expectations when it came to the board coming in, the bylaws being removed from the council workload, and council being supposed to be streamlined. One issue that people tell me when they talk about council this year is that it feels like it's rubber stamping when it comes to a lot of like policies and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of a shame, honestly. I feel that council is this unique opportunity for everyone in the US to interact with each other and exchange ideas. So really pushing that working group structure and making it, like, I say the word structure a lot, but I think it's really important to have proper reporting when it comes to the discussion that happens in these working groups would help streamline the process, present like the consensus in an efficient manner, and then see what the rest of council feels.
Okay, Jessica, do you have one more question?
Okay, so crises happen more often than one might think. How do you handle a crisis? And what steps have you taken?
Sure. So one big thing that someone I know always said for event planning was what can go wrong will go wrong. And so it's all about like planning and preparation. I think one example I'm going to use for your question is Century Club this year for EV. Like, I don't know, 3 hours before Century Club was supposed to start, the people that were handling co-check called me and they canceled basically. So we're walking into co-check with no co-check. Our best bet was going to be trash bags actually. But there was this whole plan in place on putting trash bags for co-check per team and then letting captains figuring it out. I think proper communication is really important when it comes to crisis. Knowing exactly what your team is doing, how they're handling the crisis, and what they can do for you is super important. Second, having contingency plan and like being ready for the unexpected is hard, but striving to do that and always like staying on top of your stuff is the best way to mitigate it.
Yeah, so I think that a big thing to focus on if I were president would be to start and really work hard on a lot of my initiatives over the summer, because that way, like I know things are going to come up, especially when the school year starts. Things are going to get busy and like fires are going to need to be put out. So getting a strong start over the summer so that I can focus on those things when they come up. Another big thing is just to stay calm and be prepared, but also don't be afraid to ask for help, especially from the executive team if needed. There's no point in just letting these problems compound, like I said before. Attacking them right when they arise is the best bet, and doing it with other people is the way to go. But then also just being aware of these things and being ready for them, even if they don't happen. It's always better safe than sorry.
So we have one more quick question submitted online. Unfortunately, we've nearly done over time, so I'm going to limit both of you to 30 seconds on this. Please take this seriously. It's one of the more important questions, but you're going to begin asked. Alex, does a straw have one hole or two?
A straw, I've had this discussion actually relatively recently. Straw, I tried to defend two, but it didn't make any sense. Straw has to have one hole. My debate was you cut it twice, if you have a long straw and you cut it twice, it's two different holes. It doesn't make any sense. It's one hole all the way.
Yeah,
This is
I fully agree.
Okay,
I haven't discussed recently, but I was prepared.
Great.
30 seconds. Yeah, I know. I didn't expect that one.
That's how I'm prepared for debates.
They're both cut.
All right. 1 minute closing remarks from both of you. Tristan, you may begin whenever you're ready.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks everyone for being here so late, and thanks everyone for listening. I think debates are really important, and so are platforms. Hopefully, throughout this debate, we now have a better understanding of our platform differences and a better understanding of what I wish to completely implement if I were to win. Hopefully, that also made you better understand what I care about, who I am as a person, and how I wish to make the EUS more accessible as a whole. If you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook. My event page is out there. That's pretty much it. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so once again, thanks for everyone for coming out. I really appreciate it. Those are some great questions. I guess I'll just finish off by why I want to be pres. So the US has just given so much to me in the past few years, and it's really developed me as a person, and I've learned so much, and I've created so many friendships. And I just really want to pay that forward and try and give back to people, especially by reaching some of the incoming first years and some of the people that aren't necessarily involved, who don't get as much out of the EUS right now. So that's going to be a really big focus of mine, trying to be that representative for those students. So yeah, check out my Facebook page, ask me questions if you have more in the future, and I'll be here for a little while.
Thank you.
All right, clean up or else.
Oh God, yeah. I forgot to
Voting is February 27th to 28th. Don't forget it. Check your emails. If you don't vote, we'll send you multiple emails.